In 2025, a cosmic event bathes the city in golden light, granting humanity the chance for immortality. An office worker snaps, ranting about the soul-crushing grind of working just to survive. He screams his resignation, refusing to be treated like livestock any longer. His stunned co-workers watch in silence, wrapped in blankets at their desks. A spectral energy erupts from his computer, transforming him into a glowing, ghostly cultivator. Meanwhile, two powerful cultivators clash amidst urban ruins, battling for authority over cultivation resources. Back in reality, our broke protagonist visits a clinic, learning his meager stats and the high cost of improvement. A female classmate offers him a ride, warning they will be late for the crucial third session. A shot of the school at night underscores the pressure. Parents sacrificed everything so their kids would not be livestock. Inside, students grind through practice tests, turning effort into tangible grades and future prospects. A teacher yells through a megaphone, demanding attention from a distracted student in the back. This entire class turns, their focus broken by the teacher's outburst. This protagonist, wearing a Strive headband, stares in shock as his pen floats magically above his hand. A flashback reveals a cataclysmic battle between cultivators amidst a shattered, red-skied cityscape. A crowd of people looks up in unified, defiant anger, shouting that they have had enough. A young man declares his name, Lei Daoshin, as a terrified crowd below kneels before a colossal, fiery threat. A massive, glowing projectile hurtles toward the city skyline, its impact imminent. This giant, luminous fingers of a colossal hand descend, crushing buildings under their weight. Civilians scatter in panic as the giant's foot crashes down, shaking the very ground. A gigantic, glowing hand rises from the ruined city, holding a shattered building in its palm. This crowd cheers for Yi Chen, the man who saved them, as he stands amidst the chaos. This scene shifts to a pristine, towering skyscraper under a clear blue sky. A woman with glasses uses telekinesis to levitate pens and documents in a busy office. Her mind is overwhelmed by urgent reports on reconstruction, ethics, and dangerous fugitives. A man sprints through an office as files magically organize themselves, shouting in frustration. A formal meeting is underway, with suited officials seated around a long conference table. From a high-rise office, a man is told the nation needs proper order restored after the peace. A woman in a red top and black skirt approaches, telling Yi Chen he must take responsibility. A close-up shows a hand gently tucking hair behind a person's ear. This man in casual clothes, Yi Chen, reacts with disbelief, asking if this is a joke. In the sunlit office, the world's new supreme ruler slumps in his chair, complaining about his post-victory workload. Sticking his tongue out, he declares his desire to be a free and easy lone wolf. His rebellious statement is met with a sharp smack from a folder, a blunt rejection of his fantasy. Now clutching his head, he protests his lost invincibility, demanding to know where his face has gone. This woman in red chases him, questioning his sudden shift from responsibility to a carefree attitude. A finger points directly at him, forcing him to confront his own reflection and current state. This camera pans down to his bare legs and flip-flops, highlighting his complete lack of formal attire. Standing with hands on hips, she lists the countless matters awaiting his decision, criticizing his casual approach. He suddenly leans in close, invading her personal space and shifting the tense atmosphere. Startled, she blushes and stammers, asking what he is doing as his hand rests on her shoulder. With an arm around her, he offers his support, telling her to report anyone who does not listen. A determined grin spreads across his face as he clenches a fist, vowing to enforce respect for her. Enraged, she raises the folder to strike again as he spins away in a blur of motion. Holding the dented folder, her expression shifts from anger to a more contemplative, serious look. Her gaze softens slightly, a thoughtful and perhaps calculating look in her eyes as she considers the situation. This woman in red stands over the young man, her expression sharp and questioning. Her eyes narrow as she demands his certainty, a challenge hanging in the air. He touches his lip, arguing that forced paths in life are the true trap. A subtle exhale escapes her lips, her patience visibly thinning. She paints a future of universal busyness, leaving him utterly alone and cold. This young man's hand goes to his chin, bewildered by her unsettling logic. She pivots, offering a new, supposedly easy and fun job to change the subject. Her hand lands on his shoulder, a firm gesture as she declares him of age. With a piercing gaze, she reveals the job: go on blind dates and get married. He smiles naively, starting to agree before the full meaning hits him. A close-up captures his cheerful, oblivious expression just before the realization. His smile freezes, then shatters as shock and horror dawn on his face. This scene shifts to a towering corporate skyscraper under a bright sky. Below, a bustling hotpot restaurant named Heavenly Dog anchors the street corner. Inside, a serene, white-haired man meditates, surrounded by a halo of floating swords. In the bustling hotpot restaurant, a waiter magically serves dishes to excited children. Yi Chen watches with a faint smile, recalling how spells now serve mundane purposes. A family discusses the post-war world where former combat magic aids daily life. Sitting alone, Yi Chen grumbles about blind dates and gold-digging adults from his studies. He taps the table impatiently, the sound echoing his frustration with the situation. This woman in red appears, demanding why he resists blind dates and marriage. Yi Chen argues he is fresh out of school and wants freedom, not pressure. His expression hardens as he listens, clearly annoyed by her persistent demands. This handler stands firm, her silence emphasizing her unwavering stance on the matter. He snaps, telling her to stop acting like his parents' deathbed messenger. She recalls how spiritual energy revival saved her life during a building collapse. This handler scolds him for playing dead, citing his duty to handle important matters. Yi Chen shouts back, accusing her of betraying their trust in his reliability. A stack of blind date profiles slams onto the table, startling him. She explains powerful families now seek political marriages to secure his loyalty. A vision of ancient imperial consorts floods his mind, prompting his defiant refusal to write their history essay. This historical figures morph into ghostly, helmeted soldiers, illustrating his point about political marriages in dramas. Leaning close, the woman in red informs him he is now a walking weapon of mass destruction. He strokes his chin, genuinely asking if being a weapon is really that badass. She shakes her head with closed eyes, clearly exasperated by his casual attitude. Cupping his face, she argues no one would fall for him with such a careless demeanor. She explains the powerful are scared of his revenge, so they will only send their prettiest girls. His eyes widen in shock, hands on his cheeks as the implication sinks in. A sudden enlightenment strikes him. He sees the big picture and starts checking his phone. A sly, blushing grin spreads across his face as he asks for their photos first. Standing with hands on her hips, she shakes her head, questioning if he is not super free right now. With a mysterious smile, she tells him the choice is his, preserving some mystery for the guys. A sinister, red-eyed version of her looms over him as he suspects she is playing him. He looks down at a pair of delicate feet, nervously announcing he is here for the blind date. His heart races at her gentle voice, leaving him flustered and unsure what to say. This young man smiles warmly, remarking on the coincidence of meeting someone here. But his companion wears a terrifying, horned mask with a glaring third eye. His friendly expression instantly shatters into pure, wide-eyed terror at the sight. This masked figure stands calmly in traditional robes, barefoot and eerily still. He screams in horrified recognition, clutching his face and demanding to know why. A crowd of onlookers gasps in unison, their faces frozen in shock. A deafening shout of a name echoes through the city streets from above. Panic erupts as civilians and cultivators alike flee the sudden, overwhelming danger. High above, a chaotic aerial battle rages between a dragon rider and another cultivator. Back in the restaurant, the young man sits across from the silent, masked visitor. He points an accusing finger, shouting about a broken ceasefire agreement and demanding answers. A flashback reveals their first deadly encounter, where the figure's poison nearly killed him. He recalls lying critical in a hospital, covered in needles and tubes for months. Another memory shows a poisoned battlefield where his opponent's skills had dangerously evolved. Now he looks up from the ground at the masked figure's bloodied legs defeated. This MC, green poison streaking his torso, rants about surviving another poisoning, months of agony, near dehydration. A barefoot girl in blue pants stammers, her feet hovering over a faint, glowing circle. A masked figure in traditional garb bows, explaining she's sent by the Grand Shaman for a marriage arrangement. This MC, wide-eyed and confused, stares silently at the masked stranger. This MC shouts in disbelief, accusing the masked figure of lying about their past enmity. This MC leans in, questioning the masked figure's claim they've never held a grudge. This masked figure's mask glows as she recounts fighting the MC to the death repeatedly. This masked figure explains she followed the Grand Shaman's orders, complete the mission or die. This MC, scratching his head, asks the masked figure what's happening. This masked figure urges resuming marriage talks, claiming she holds no grudge. This MC recoils, yelling that a marriage arrangement with her gives him chills. This MC waves, suggesting they go through motions, then part ways as incompatible. This MC pauses, sweat on his brow, and says, "Wait, hold on." This MC turns back, sweat on his brow, and asks the masked figure, "What else?" This masked figure reveals the Grand Shaman predicted the MC would change his mind if she removed her mask. Yi Chen's mind races, realizing the terrifying truth about her unseen face. Her hands slowly lift the horrifying mask, beginning the shocking reveal. This demonic visage rises, unveiling the person beneath the fearsome disguise. His breath catches, eyes widening as the truth dawns on him. A young woman with traditional hair ornaments and a calm gaze is revealed. Stunned, Yi Chen's expression shifts from terror to utter, blushing shock. His jaw drops in a close-up of pure, wide-eyed disbelief. He shouts in frustrated outrage, his world completely upended by this twist. This unmasked woman asks calmly if he has now changed his mind. She leans forward, innocently asking if they can proceed with the marriage. Yi Chen sweats nervously, avoiding her gaze as the pressure mounts. A bead of sweat rolls down his temple, his anxiety palpable. He shakes his head violently, a physical rejection of the entire situation. He argues desperately against forced unions, pleading for his own freedom. She clasps her hands, declaring with innocent determination she will love him. Yi Chen screams in frustration, hands clutching his hair in sheer exasperation. He confronts the skull-adorned girl, demanding if she even knows what love is. She calmly replies she does not, but offers to learn, citing her perfect academic record. Yi Chen stares, taken aback by her blunt, studious approach to the question. He internally marvels at her as a true academic god from the start. A flashback shows him as a regular student, desperately praying at a temple. Back in the present, he begins explaining love, but immediately falters. A close-up captures his strained expression as he struggles to define the feeling. He scratches his head, utterly flustered and unable to form a coherent answer. These two stand awkwardly in the restaurant, a tense silence hanging between them. This girl watches him patiently, her cheeks slightly flushed with anticipation. Yi Chen admits he does not know, too busy studying and fighting monsters to learn. Suddenly, a light bulb goes off in his head, a spark of realization. He declares with newfound purpose that he will go ask someone about love right now. This skull-adorned girl tilts her head, utterly confused by his sudden shift. Yi Chen's eye glows as he channels a swirling blue sphere of supreme divine energy. He activates a universe transportation technique, reaching into a vast cosmic portal. A young woman with skull hair ornaments looks on, her expression full of surprise. In a frantic office, multiple women in red uniforms work amidst piles of documents. Yi Chen casually lists his academic burdens, unaware of Duoju's concerned gaze beside him. A sharp gesture from him causes the entire office staff to freeze in shock. Through a circular view, he stands awkwardly in a restaurant as Duoju hides behind him. This office women glare collectively, their annoyance building to a sharp, unified question. He pleads with Duoju to stop her overwhelming divine technique, shielding his eyes in fear. This handler moves with blurring speed, her afterimages filling the space as she approaches. She confronts Yi Chen and Duoju, a brilliant light framing their tense standoff. With a casual wave, the handler greets the shy girl, her tone deceptively light. Duoju bows nervously, her bare feet shifting as she stammers a quiet hello. A finger suddenly pokes Yi Chen's chest, catching him completely off guard. This handler scolds him, complaining she is too busy splitting herself for blind dates to watch them. Yi Chen gestures to the woman in red, declaring he's here to explain love to the young girl. Her eyes widen in a stunned blush, caught completely off guard by his sudden declaration. She stammers, arguing she has no real-world experience to draw from, only academic knowledge. He smirks, recalling how she secretly read romance manga during their chaotic, war-torn school years. Flustered and defensive, she averts her gaze, weakly protesting his embarrassing revelation about her habits. Leaning in with a knowing grin, he insists her extensive theoretical knowledge is more than enough. Her blush deepens as she touches her cheek, hesitantly starting to formulate a response. He defines love as a racing heart, nervousness, and an inability to stop thinking about someone. Turning to the young girl with skull accessories, he states plainly that this is what love is. This woman in red bursts into uncontrollable, tearful laughter at the absurd, heartfelt confession. She explains her feelings grew from their battles, where she constantly studied him to avoid losing. This young girl looks up at him, confessing that she really does love him. Her hysterical laughter leaves Yi Chen and the young girl standing in utterly bewildered silence. Scratching his head in embarrassment, he asks to have a private chat with the girl. This laughing woman suddenly grabs his hand, her expression shifting as she stops him from leaving. This skull-adorned girl watches in surprise as the handler suddenly appears before them. Her curious gaze follows the newcomer, snowflakes drifting serenely in the background. A shout echoes from the towering skyscraper, questioning the sudden, disruptive transportation. This handler in red stands confidently, arms crossed, looking down at the arriving pair. Yi Chen's face twists in anger, accusing her of knowing it was her all along. She averts her eyes, asking if he would have come if she'd told the truth. He shouts in frustration, demanding how he could have dared to show up knowing. A vertical panel captures his shock as he realizes her manipulative breeding arrangement scheme. Yi Chen looks up at the sky, hand on his chest, a heavy silence falling. This handler calmly asks if the young girl is not adorable, changing the subject. On the rooftop, Yi Chen squats dejectedly while she stands tall against the cityscape. He lights a cigarette, a small moment of respite amidst the overwhelming chaos. Smoking thoughtfully, he mutters his mother was right about cute girls being toxic. She pokes his forehead, scolding him for his attitude while a romanticized vision appears. This handler pats his head as he looks up, suspicious of her hidden motives. His eye glows with psychic energy, threatening to forcibly extract the truth from her mind. Panicked, she throws her hands up, swearing she will never forgive him if he invades her privacy. In a chibai style, he shouts for a reasonable explanation while she stands firm, unimpressed. They sit on a rooftop ledge, the city skyline behind them as she begins to speak. She touches her ear, her expression turning serious as she starts a hypothetical scenario. A close-up reveals her solemn face, explaining the dire consequences if a certain girl fails her blind date. Her gaze is heavy with unspoken history, the weight of her words hanging in the air. Yi Chen stares back, cigarette in mouth, utterly confused by her cryptic warning. She elaborates, describing how spirit beasts and cultivation apps suddenly flooded the world after its transformation. A phone screen displays various cultivation apps, while a monstrous spirit beast looms below. She explains these apps let people absorb energy from beasts to enhance their own power. Powerful factions emerged, some seeking to dominate, others to maintain a fragile balance of power. A lineup of elite warriors is shown, illustrating how the human weapons rankings were established. Back on the rooftop, she reveals a personal connection, mentioning Lan Duoju's past as a child. A flashback shows a young, solemn Duoju standing alone in a dark classroom. A dark ritual chamber reveals young Duoju among other children, a horned statue looming behind them. A flashback shows a younger Duoju alone in a pit of bones, the sole survivor of her ordeal. Yi Chen listens intently as the handler explains their shared, brutal history of being pushed to the brink. Sitting together on a ledge, he questions how their past connects to Duoju having nowhere to go. This handler points toward the city, declaring that with peace restored, he is now worshipped as its pillar. Her finger then points downward into a swirling vortex, asking a pointed question about the forgotten girl. A monstrous masked figure looms over a battlefield, its voice accusing the venomous saintess of using deadly poison. A lone figure in blue traditional garb stands in a stark white space, casting a long shadow. A tender moment from the past shows a young Duoju offering a doll to the older, blue-clad woman. A close-up captures the innocent, hopeful smile on young Duoju's face as she holds out the toy. This older woman's hands reach out, about to accept the small, offered doll from the child. This doll falls to the ground, landing near the woman's bare feet as a gesture of rejection is made. A man in blue bows deeply to the crying child, while the woman in blue watches the scene unfold. This man then scoops up the distressed Duoju and flees into the forest, leaving the woman behind. A close-up on the present-day Duoju's face, her skull ornaments framing a look of quiet, profound sadness. This skull-adorned girl looks down, her expression heavy with unspoken emotions. She walks away alone, her long shadow stretching across the empty ground. Yi-chen smokes quietly, lost in thought about everything that just happened. On the rooftop, the handler sits beside him and asks if he fears her too. Her cheeks flush as she studies his face, searching for some kind of answer. Yi-chen's gaze drifts elsewhere, his expression unreadable and distant. She slaps his head hard, furious at his sudden cocky attitude. Standing with crossed arms, she lectures him about mock exams and getting ahead of himself. Crouching with a grin, he tells her to scram, promising he will handle it. Her eyes widen, caught off guard by his casual dismissal of her warnings. She strides toward him on the rooftop edge, demanding to know his true intentions. A swirling blue portal suddenly tears open behind her, catching her completely off guard. A hand reaches through the cosmic gateway, pulling her backward into its depths. This portal's force drags her through, vanishing from the rooftop in an instant. She crashes onto her office desk, disheveled and furious from the abrupt teleportation. This handler, now back at her desk, whirls around with a furious shout at the lingering blue portal. Her eyes narrow into slits, a silent, seething fury radiating from her as the portal vanishes. On the rooftop, Yi-chen stands alone, gazing over the city he now protects. A smirk touches his lips as he realizes her entire breeding scheme was a manipulative ruse. He turns his back on the skyline, his decision made to return to the restaurant. A faint blue shimmer surrounds him as he prepares another short-range transportation. In the quiet restaurant, Duoju remains standing exactly where he left her. Her head snaps up as Yi-chen materializes in a soft glow of light before her. He scratches his neck, awkwardly explaining the handler's true motives and her tragic past. Duoju listens silently, her expression unreadable as she processes the heavy information. Yi-chen sighs, stating that despite their violent history, she now has nowhere else to go. He gestures to the seat across from him, his tone softening as he tells her to sit. They sit across from each other in the booth, the atmosphere thick with unspoken tension. Yi-chen leans forward, his gaze intense as he brings up their brutal past confrontations. Duoju looks at him with wide, innocent eyes, asking if this means they can get married now. Back in the restaurant, the skull-adorned girl gently feeds him a drink. She then casually asks if he wants to become a dad the moment they marry. This question causes him to violently spit out his drink in shock. Tears well in her eyes as she clutches her necklace, looking deeply hurt. Panicked, he stammers an apology, insisting he did not mean to react that way. Frustrated, he grabs his head, realizing this is harder than any battle. A close-up shows his utter despair, screaming this is tougher than martial exams. He takes a deep breath, trying to calm his racing thoughts. Standing up, he explains dating is a two-person thing and he has not fallen yet. Her face is then pinched into a forced smile by his hands. He tells her she needs to learn how to smile first. A wide shot shows him gently holding her face in the quiet restaurant. Suddenly, a sinister purple smoke begins to seep from her body. This toxic aura spreads and he looks on with a knowing, grim smile. Outside, the entire building collapses under the weight of the poisonous purple energy. In a shadowy, purple-tinged void, Yi-chen reaches toward the skull-adorned girl. She glances up as he shouts, demanding why she's releasing poison again. She admits it's a combat reflex, but he insists that habits gotta change too. She notes it's a conditioned response, yet he stands firm, resolved to shift it. Amidst a shattered building, her voice challenges if he'll change it, and he shouts, I will. Yi-chen's hand glows blue, a strike dismantle spell igniting as he channels power. A colossal blue timeline reversal portal tears open, pulling them into its swirling depths. Outside a neon-lit heavenly hot pot building, the portal's aftermath fades into the cityscape. Inside the restaurant, Yi-chen stands with his back turned, the skull girl beside him. She questions when he gains space-time reversal, and he smirks, before last time I beat you. He demands why he was unaware, and she retorts, what kind of reversal would that be? Yi-chen's close-up reveals panic. He'd lose street cred if she knew he reversed time thousands of times. He tells her to stay in the city, find a job, and learn to make his heart flutter. She grins, claiming once she makes a heart-fluttering poison, he'll marry her. He questions if she can pull it off, and she admits she's already tested countless toxins on him. Yi-chen stands over two love-struck rats, a humorous side effect of Duoju's lingering pheromones. Duoju holds up her poison notes, confidently declaring her specialty to reassure him. He wipes his brow, planning to have Xia Yan set her up with a normal job. A monstrous roar suddenly shakes the building, interrupting their conversation. This shout echoes across the city, demanding Yi-chen show himself for a beating. Yi-chen and Duoju look up, recognizing the familiar aggressive voice from outside. Duoju identifies the source as Yue Huali, the gluttonous demon ranked just above him. A wicked grin spreads across Yi-chen's face, excited his blind date target has arrived. He leaps from the restaurant balcony, telling Duodio to find Xia Yan while he fights. Yi Chen walks forward with a sinister, toothy grin, eager for the confrontation. A massive beam of golden light erupts into the sky as Yue Huali announces her arrival. Yi Chen floats calmly in the clouds, hands in his pockets, waiting for his opponent. A horned woman with red-tipped hair rockets upward, her eyes locked on her target. Yue Huali unleashes her diamond horn strike, aiming straight for his heart and lungs. A cataclysmic explosion of red energy bursts across the city skyline upon impact. A woman on the street gasps in horror, questioning Yue Huali's sanity for challenging Yi Chen. A young man cups his hands, shouting for Master Yi Chen to teach the demon clan a lesson. High above the city, Yi Chen floats calmly within a dissipating cloud of impact smoke. A hand firmly grips the broken, bleeding stump of a large, curved horn. This horned woman, Yue Huali, hangs in the sky, her leg kicked high from the recoil. Yi Chen smirks, holding the severed horn and declaring his opponent not worth the excitement. Enraged, Yue Huali rockets downward, boasting her record is far superior to his pathetic losses. With a furious cry, she launches another assault, screaming for him to take this. A close-up reveals her mouth aglow with intense, gathering energy between her sharp teeth. Yue Huali unleashes her ultimate technique. Swallow whole, her body radiating cosmic power. A powerful suction force yanks Yi Chen backward through the sky at blinding speed. He is pulled past in a streak of motion, his expression remaining utterly unimpressed. This sky above the cityscape tears open in a massive, swirling vortex of clouds. A profile shot captures Yue Huali's strained expression, her mouth open in a silent scream. She floats facing a faint, ominous silhouette that has appeared before her in the clouds. Yue Huali laughs triumphantly, boasting her beauty and strength are now supreme. From high above the city, she declares the world is now hers to command. Pointing down, she demands the populace kneel and worship her as their new goddess. Her boast is cut short by a sudden, sharp pain in her stomach. A dark, spiky creature has bitten her midsection, leaving her shocked and confused. She realizes the creature is digesting her energy, a bizarre and dangerous counter. Meanwhile, Yi Chen floats calmly within a swirling red void of shattered debris. He cups his hands and shouts, mocking her for eating such random, dangerous junk. A tight shot captures Yue Huali's gritted teeth, sweat beading from the strain. Her eyes burn with fury as she vows not to lose, promising to digest him. Red energy erupts around her as the very building begins to shake violently. A close-up shows her belly glowing and pulsing with the consumed, unstable power. This energy spirals into a massive, chaotic red vortex above the cityscape. Below, a skyscraper trembles from the sheer force of their clashing powers. Inside an office, Xia Yan runs in panic, sensing the catastrophic battle outside. At her desk, the calm woman in red asks the panicked visitor what's wrong. This flustered employee stammers, pointing and struggling to name the source of her fear. A sudden memory flashes, the horned girl and the boy, a warning about swallowing things. With a dismissive smile, the woman in red waves off the concern, sipping her drink. High above the city, Yue Huali plummets downward, her body tense for impact. A close-up reveals her strained face, sweat beading as she channels immense force. She dives like a missile, a streak of black and red against the open sky. A colossal beam of golden energy slams into the street, erupting in a shower of debris. Yue Huali lands in a crater, crouched and panting as stunned onlookers gather around. This crowd stares in collective shock, their faces a mixture of awe and terror. Her horns prominent, she glares down at the figures before her, a tense silence falling. Panic erupts as the terrified crowd turns and flees, screaming about her going berserk. Still on her hands and knees, she shouts in frustration, urging someone to escape. Amid swirling red energy, Yi Chen grins down at her, commanding her to open up. Inside her gaping mouth, he stands on her tongue, casually remarking on her surprisingly fresh breath. This dust settles in the cratered street, Yi Chen standing calmly as Yue Huali's broken horn lies nearby. Turning with a smirk, he remarks the fight was refreshing but asks how she knew his name. A sudden, sharp shock registers on his face, his eyes widening in complete disbelief. He points down at the small figure in the crater, shouting in stunned recognition. There, a shrunken, childlike Yue Huali kneels, her face flushed as she demands to know how he predicted this. Yi Chen gestures at her diminutive form, confused how a brief battle caused such a drastic change. This tiny demon girl screams in humiliation, desperately covering herself and ordering him not to look. Laughing heartily, he pats her head, teasing her about never expecting this adorable form from their long rivalry. His hand continues to pat her head as he muses she looks cute now, questioning her usual prickly attitude. She furiously protests the head pats, declaring her fearsome status as a great demon of the monster race. With a comical thud, one of her large red horns detaches and falls to the ground. Now sporting long bunny ears, she sits stunned as Yi Chen reaches out toward her in surprise. Split panels capture their mutual wide-eyed shock at her sudden and bizarre transformation. He holds up the broken horn while she touches her new floppy bunny ears in utter confusion. Her face burns with a furious blush as she grasps her bunny ears, completely mortified by the change. Yi Chen laughs hysterically at her new form, while a humiliated Yue Huali threatens to eat him. He teases her about being a herbivore now, pulling her new bunny ears as she fumes. This shrunken demon rages, declaring her status and vowing to make him pay for this humiliation. A close-up captures Yi Chen's utterly unimpressed, deadpan expression in response to her threats. He dismisses her rant, reminding her she started this fight and he is just looking for a job. Her face flushes bright red with shock and embarrassment at his casual mention of eating her. A sinister, toothy grin spreads across Yi-chen's face as he leans in closer. He casually mentions his love for eating meat, especially Guizhou rabbit, with a chilling smile. Defeated and pouting, Yue Huali accepts her loss, stating a demon can be eaten but not mocked. Yi-chen pauses, a thoughtful look on his face as he senses something is off about her. This tiny demon shouts in frustration, demanding he just get it over with and eat her already. He questions her choice of a Cheongsam for a battle, finding the whole situation increasingly strange. A ghostly image of her former, powerful self looms behind her as she stammers an excuse about dressing up. She blushes furiously, claiming she wore it for him before correcting herself to carry it away. With a sigh, Yi-chen releases her bunny ears, letting her drop back to the ground. Stumbling backward in shock, the newly bunny-eared Yue Huali trips over her own feet. Yi-chen watches her fall, then casually lets go of her arm, prompting her furious question. Pointing an accusatory finger, she demands to know if he is also here for a blind date. Flustered, she explains her species' instinctual mating season and her fear of being forced to breed. A diagram of monstrous hybrids appears as Yi-chen dryly suggests she find her own kind. Kneeling with downcast eyes, she reveals she is a solitary narcissist, the last of her kind. A bead of sweat rolls down Yi-chen's face as he processes this awkward revelation. His mind races, recalling she was a weapon created by demons, a unique hybrid with no kin. A flashback shows her past self determined to protect her home and become the strongest. Snapping back to the present, he awkwardly tries to comfort the dejected girl on the street. Reaching out, he touches her new bunny ear, which emits a strange, gurgling sound. She complains her ultimate move drained her energy, demanding food before discussing breeding. Annoyed, he scolds her for her thick skin and demands his sympathy back. Inside a bustling restaurant, onlookers stare as Yi-chen sits across from the horned girl. Surrounded by towering stacks of empty plates, he wears a strained, forced smile at the bill. Yi-chen laughs, picturing the transformed Yue Huali grazing on grass like a rabbit. A waiter arrives with a colossal bowl of noodles and dumplings for her. This bunny-eared girl devours the massive meal with shocking, messy speed. She plunges her face directly into the giant bowl, finishing everything. Stacks of empty plates tower beside them as she orders another 200 servings. She explains monster race rules, declaring she will now stick to him shamelessly. Yi-chen stands over the mountain of plates, horrified at supporting a freeloader. A sudden impact shakes the floor as her form begins to shift back. Now in her original dress, she stands tall, citing her race's binding customs. This restaurant crowd stares in shock, recognizing the fearsome name Yue Huali. Panicked, the entire crowd flees the restaurant, screaming for everyone to run. This scene resets to the quiet restaurant, Yi-chen and the bunny girl at the table. She stands before him, her expression calm after the chaotic transformation. He questions if she truly refuses to leave, even after all this. A close-up shows his frustrated, sweating face as he processes her stubborn vow. Her face reflects in a mirror, the text asking if she has gotten used to her new bunny ears. Yi-chen exhales sharply, a puff of air escaping his lips in relief. He points at her, demanding she first learn to interact like a normal person. She grins, claiming she has already succumbed to his tyrannical abuse and will do as he says. He tells her to drop the weird idioms and properly study Huaxia culture from scratch. With a thoughtful hand on his chin, he decides she should start with language. A sinister, close-up grin spreads across his face, one eye glowing red. He points to floating islands of academic subjects, declaring there will be exams. She pounds her chest confidently, vowing to eat and digest all the knowledge. He covers his mouth, whispering about the mental hell awaiting a mountain dropout. He laughs, imagining her drowning in a sea of formulas with no time to bother him. He pats her head, offering a simple, "I am rooting for you." A close-up shows her stomach rumbling loudly, the sound effect emphasizing her hunger. She complains her stomach is sticking to her spine, demanding more food. They walk out together, him noting Shenju's piece is new and the food supply unstable. Walking away, Yi-chen tells the bunny-eared Yue Huali to go graze in a pasture herself. With a powerful kick, he launches her skyward, shouting advice about leaving roots for regrowth. In the office, the woman in red asks if the arrangement for land duoju is complete. She explains the country needs workers for the post-war rescue department after years of conflict. A stunned Yi-chen processes the words rescue department, flooding his vision. He spins around, outraged she'd send a poison user to save people. This woman smirks, suggesting his understanding of land duoju is shallow. A close-up reveals her explanation. The girl's technique uses her own organs as poison processing plants. A visual shows land duoju's body adapting, deriving energy from deadly poisons via magic tower support. This woman adds that since she refines poison, she can naturally refine medicine too. Yi-chen scratches his head, realizing she could become a walking hospital. Leaning back, the woman hopes this assignment lets the girl readapt and become normal. Yi-chen then states there is one more person for her to arrange. At his call, a blurred figure in a black dress bursts into the office. This bunny-eared Yue Huali declares she will follow him everywhere, whether he likes it or not. This woman in red, glasses perched on her nose, asks with a serious expression how to cure it. Leaning in close, Yi-chen whispers a plan to prepare textbooks and assign teachers for her studies. The sly grin, she calls him evil, clearly amused by his Chinese letter strict proposal. Suddenly, a bunny-eared Yue Huali appears, furious and demanding to know why they are plotting wickedly. This scene shifts, showing a lineup of diverse monsters as a voiceover explains a new job for integration. Back in the office, the woman in red smiles, informing Yi Chen he is now their guardian deity. Hands on her hips, Yue Huali declares she only knows how to eat and demands a job too. An enraged Yi Chen shouts at her, demanding she accept the task or get out. A close-up captures Yue Huali's face, sweating and looking away with a guilty, conflicted expression. In a darker memory, she recalls how everyone feared her like a mouse, leaving her isolated. This trio stands in the modern office in tense silence, the woman in red observing from her desk. Yi Chen, scratching his head, uses voice transmission to express his pity and confusion over their normal behavior. This woman in red stands up from her chair, adjusting her glasses with a determined look. A finger pokes Yi Chen's cheek, making him look annoyed and startled by the sudden contact. This woman in red gestures to Yi Chen, telling a watching Yue Huali that his scariness is why people fear him. In the restaurant, Yue Huali's bunny ears twitch nervously as she senses a ferocious presence nearby. Yi Chen chokes on his drink in shock while the woman in red watches with an amused smile. This woman in red takes Yue Huali's hands, teasing her about the legendary demon who fears nothing. Flustered and blushing, the tiny demon girl stammers denials, insisting she will not back down from anything. Determined to prove herself, Yue Huali storms off down the hallway with purposeful strides. Left alone, Yi Chen chuckles with the woman in red, remarking how easily she was manipulated. A spectral vision of horned Yue Huali materializes behind them as Yi Chen questions when rabbit ears replaced her diamond horns. Chiba Yue Huali munches on grass while Yi Chen teases her about being a herbivore, catching the woman off guard. Back in his office, Yi Chen slumps into his chair, complaining the blind date made him feel like a problem child's caretaker. This woman in red covers her mouth, laughing at his exasperated complaints. Yi Chen grumbles about every woman on the team being an oddball, demanding they cancel this matchmaking nonsense. This woman in red mentions Mu Yan has arrived and wants to meet them, triggering a close-up of Yi Chen's shocked eye. Yi Chen leaps from his chair in disbelief, exclaiming that the kid has finally resurfaced. A flashback reveals a silver-haired figure who abandoned the sex, Great Evolution Sword manual, and vanished into extreme cultivation risks. Another memory surfaces, 3 students in blue uniforms sharing ice cream, the last train trio reunited once more. This woman in red instructs the visitor to go chat with him at the house first, mentioning she will test his skills later. She calls out, trying to stop the departing figure, but he is already gone. Left alone in the silent room, she points toward the exit with a knowing look. Turning back with a sly smile, she hints he currently has a bit of a problem. Flashback to a cliffside betrayal where a disloyal ally was cast out for his own gain. This determined young man grins, eager to beat the crap out of someone and blow off steam. He soars through the sky toward a secluded cliffside house ready for confrontation. A monstrous bear spirit reveals the traitor trapped within its maw facing punishment. This cliffside house remains silent, offering no response to his arrival. His confident grin fades into surprise, sensing something is off. He approaches the house cautiously, slipping through the grounds undetected. Peeking through a doorway, he scans the interior with a serious expression. Inside, he confronts someone sneaking around, demanding to know their intentions. A close-up captures his frustrated sigh, realizing the situation is more complicated. He finds the white-haired girl casually playing video games, oblivious to the tension. Yi Chen's face is a mask of pure confusion, question marks swirling around him. He steps into the room, spotting a white-haired girl completely absorbed in her game. She lounges on the couch, controller in hand, utterly ignoring his arrival. He calls out, asking where the old geezer Mu Yan has run off to. A close-up shows her hands on the controller, text hinting at her true identity. Her lips part slightly, about to speak, her expression remaining eerily calm. A sudden realization hits Yi Chen, and he points with wild, excited eyes. He cheerfully greets her as sister-in-law, demanding to know Mu Yan's location. This girl tries to interject, her red eyes showing a flicker of frustration. Leaning in conspiratorially, he gossips about Mu Yan's admirers and her own success. With a mischievous grin, he touches her chin, bombarding her with personal questions. She finally cuts through his noise, stating her name is Mu Yan with cold certainty. Yi Chen bursts into laughter, dismissing her claim as an unbelievable coincidence. She closes her eyes, a small object near her mouth, gathering her thoughts. Her revelation about his hidden comics freezes him solid, her knowledge exposing his secret. Yi Chen's face drains of color, his voice cracking with horrified disbelief. This white-haired girl Mu Yan sits calmly, listing his embarrassing gaming habits with deadpan accuracy. A bead of sweat traces his jawline as her words hit their mark. He lunges forward, desperately trying to physically stop her verbal onslaught. His hands fly up in a frantic, defensive gesture against her revelations. With a serene expression, she formally introduces herself, her tone chillingly polite. This name registers, and sheer panic floods Yi Chen's features as he recognizes her. This world outside the window seems to crack and distort with the force of his shock. Mu Yan tilts her head, her red eyes studying his breakdown with detached curiosity. He leans in, his voice a strained whisper, demanding to know how she changed. Gripping her shoulders, he presses for answers, his composure completely shattered. A sudden, wild realization strikes him, he points, shouting about a disguised manual. Without warning, she seizes him by the collar, pulling him close with startling strength. A bare foot presses firmly against his cheek, pinning him down in a display of effortless dominance. From the floor, he points an accusing finger, calling out her shameless tactics. Yi Chen stares in disbelief, asking if she really cut it all off. Tears streaming, he holds her hands and calls her sacrifice too noble. With a sigh, she tells him to stop making such weird assumptions. As she touches his hand, his face flushes and he protests her actions. Standing awkwardly in the living room, a tense silence hangs between them. She explains the greatest danger of the sword art is the body-mind reconstruction. A flashback shows her battling a monstrous entity during that perilous transformation. Back in the present, she reveals the result was her current form. Yi-Chen's eyes widen in shock, his face flushing a deep red. A close-up captures his nervous gulp, the sound echoing in the quiet. He spins around, angrily accusing her of secretly becoming a girl. Lying on the bed, she asks if he wants her help, feeling good. She wraps her arms around him from behind on the couch. Crying dramatically, he reluctantly agrees to her proposal with a shout. A final close-up shows his face contorted in messy, emotional tears. In a tight close-up, the white-haired girl's intense, blushing gaze locks onto a sweating Yi-Chen. Standing firm in the living room, he shakes his head, flatly rejecting whatever she just proposed. A conflicted Yi-Chen touches his lip, wrestling with his principles versus helping someone in need. Panicked, he throws his hands up, desperately trying to explain his honorable intentions to the unimpressed girl. A sudden, sharp impact. Her bare foot connects solidly with his cheek, sending him reeling. Standing over the dazed Yi-Chen, she laughs, mocking him as the same pervert despite his new status. A chibai-style Yi-Chen, nose bleeding, angrily demands to know what is so hilarious about the situation. Pointing an accusatory finger, he demands answers about her long disappearance and sudden reappearance. A memory flashes. He angrily recalls preparing a funeral monument, believing she was dead all this time. Turning his back on her, Yi-Chen walks away, sniffling and trying to compose his emotions. With a gentle, knowing smile, the white-haired girl watches his retreating form, her expression softening. Sitting on the couch, she offers a calm apology, explaining she was trapped in Beatty City. Yi-Chen spins around, his shock palpable as he repeats the name of the mysterious city. He recalls the legend of Beatty City's guardian, a beautiful, pale-skinned sword immortal. A vision shows that legendary figure standing atop a tower, guarding the city alone, her legs on display. In disbelief, Yi-Chen questions if the legendary guardian was truly Mu Yan all along. With a sigh, Mu Yan retorts, confused about when she earned such a dramatic nickname. He then jokes about her being unable to handle homewreckers, causing her to laugh. Mu Yan dismisses his dirty imagination, explaining she sought him out for a serious reason. A dark, monstrous presence looms behind her as she reveals something is trying to emerge. Yi-Chen questions what could possibly threaten someone with her immense power. Without a word, she reaches out and takes his hand, pulling him forward. Urgently, he tells her to lead the way, eager to investigate the disturbance. With a sudden burst of speed, they launch into the sky above the forest. This two streak across the sky like comets, racing toward the source of the trouble. While flying, Mu Yan explains the disturbance originates from the Beatty City area. They halt midair, standing on an invisible platform high above the clouds. Below them, the massive, legendary sword of Beatty City pierces the urban landscape. This scene shifts to a peaceful courtyard where alchemists brew potions under a tree. Inside a factory, workers on an assembly line inspect and package magical weapons. Yi-Chen rubs his head in confusion, Mu Yan standing behind as he questions the headache's source. Mu Yan points firmly downward, declaring she's suppressing a threat directly beneath their feet. A colossal sword juts through clouds above the city, Mu Yan's finger indicating its location. Purple energy churns at the sword's base, Mu Yan revealing she needs aid to reinforce the seal. Yi-Chen scratches his head, realizing the sword is a seal, not a decorative landmark. A giant golden hand rises from beneath them, Yi-Chen and Mu Yan standing as it emerges. Stretching skyward, the giant hand forms a swirling vortex above its grasp. Clamping onto the sword's hilt, the giant hand yanks it upward with immense force. Mu Yan shouts in alarm, demanding to know Yi-Chen's actions as the sword is wrenched free. A colossal crack tears through the city, purple energy bursting violently from the earth below. Dark purple energy surges skyward, coalescing into a towering, ominous column of power. Mu Yan clenches her fists, urgently warning that the sealed entity is breaking free. A group tends to glowing green liquid, oblivious to the chaos unfolding above the city. People gape in horror at a swirling purple sky vortex, screaming to flee the danger. Dark energy engulfs the city, cracks spreading as the sealed threat fully emerges. This ghostly entity cackles, finally free from its long imprisonment. A colossal purple claw materializes over the city, threatening to melt all flesh and bone. Yi-Chen walks with Mu Yan, recognizing the villain's cliché declaration from web novels. Mu Yan identifies the location as the Nine Provinces Ghost Gate, a site of extreme yin energy. She notes the entity's power rivals a god's, asking what Yi-Chen plans to do. Yi-Chen suddenly points at Mu Yan, realizing she was the one who sealed it before. This giant, shadowy face of the villain looms over the cityscape, its purple eyes glowing. Yi-Chen confronts Mu Yan, demanding to know why she provoked it without a plan. This villain's attention shifts, targeting Mu Yan as a beautiful first piece for its collection. A massive vortex of dark purple energy swirls ominously in the sky. A figure unleashes the Ghost Path Divine ability, the 999 Yin Devil Claw. Blue energy runes glow across Mu Yan's body as she prepares to counter. With determination, Mu Yan declares it is time to risk everything in this fight. A beam of purple energy collides with a golden shield high above the city. This villain's clawed hand reaches down toward Mu Yan, its fingers crackling with dark power. Yi-Chen, looking utterly exasperated, pinches the bridge of his nose in frustration. High above the city, the tattooed man attacks, but Mu Yan intercepts his strike. This muscular antagonist scowls, his glowing eyes filled with silent, menacing fury. He acknowledges Yi Chen's skill, calling him the reinforcement Mu Yan brought. Dark purple energy crackles around the man's arm as he prepares a powerful attack. He declares that showing off in front of a beauty comes with a heavy price. A massive blast of purple energy erupts, hurtling toward Yi Chen and Mu Yan. This tattooed man, now monstrous, lunges with terrifying speed and clawed hands. Mu Yan calmly catches his massive clawed wrist, stopping the attack cold. Yi Chen casually holds the man's other arm, looking unimpressed by the threat. This furious antagonist demands he let go, threatening to leave him as a corpse. Mu Yan's expression turns cold as she tells him he has forced her hand. This man panics, begging for his life and offering to be her dog. Yi Chen watches as the man's dark energy form dissipates into nothingness. With a soft breath, Yi Chen blows the last remnants of the enemy away. Floating above the clouds, Yi Chen reflects on his past limits. Mu Yan smiles, complimenting his impressive display of power. Below, crowds spot the duo and cheer for the heroes who vanquished the villain. A close-up captures Mu Yan's gentle expression as Yi Chen shields his eyes from the sun. Suddenly, cultivators on flying swords approach, bearing gifts and introductions. More well-wishers ascend, creating a celebratory procession in the sky. Yi Chen grumbles that Mu Yan is stealing his spotlight. She clings to his arm, blushing as they float above the cityscape. This crowd of admirers continues to follow them through the clouds. Walking arm in arm, the pair seems unbothered by the growing attention. This approaching cultivators look confused by the sudden romantic atmosphere. Yi Chen turns, asking what the commotion is about. In a swift move, Mu Yan leans in and kisses his cheek. This onlookers erupt in cheers, celebrating the public display of affection. Holding her close, Yi Chen announces they are on a date to deepen their relationship. Yi Chen stands with his team, flowers, and a mysterious chest in hand. His patient snaps, voice cutting through the silence with raw frustration. This team launches skyward on hoverboards, streaking through clouds toward their destination. Meanwhile, Mu Yan sips casually from a straw, completely unbothered by the chaos. Her red eyes study him closely, asking if they should deepen their relationship. She wraps around him from behind, and he panics, accusing her of crossing the line. Standing together on clouds, she blushes while he keeps his hands firmly in his pockets. Tears welling, she asks if he could bear watching her harassed, requesting just one favor. He flashes a peace sign, declaring 2 favors owed before turning to leave. Twin streaks of light race across the ocean toward distant coastal cliffs. Yi Chen and Mu Yan soar through open air together, wind whipping past them. He stretches casually, questioning why she follows instead of guarding her city. Her expression turns serious as she declares she wants to rejoin the team. She leans over him and he protests. She left without discussion, now expecting easy acceptance. Mu Yan breaks into laughter, covering her mouth as tension dissolves between them. Soaring through clear skies, Yi Chen demands Mu Yan punish herself with 300 cups. Her grin widens as she clarifies it is pure alcohol, leaving him speechless. A tight shot captures Yi Chen's resigned expression, already regretting his own words. Over the coastline, he complains she agreed too easily, but she insists on making amends. Without warning, Mu Yan rockets ahead, spotting trouble below and leaving him scrambling. Her crimson eyes narrow with sharp focus, sensing something urgent unfolding beneath them. Far below, tiny figures gather at the cliff's edge overlooking the churning sea. A woman in white faces 3 cloaked men trapped at the precipice with nowhere left. Yi Chen and Mu Yan dive toward the scene, ready to intervene. This dark-cloaked figures close in slowly, their shadows stretching across the grass. Wind whips through her long black hair as she tilts her head back, resigned. Arms spread wide, she leaps from the cliff's edge into the open sky. Her white dress billows as she plummets downward, surrendering to the fall. A blur of motion intercepts her mid-descent, strong arms catching her body. Cradling the woman against his chest, Yi Chen scolds her reckless choice with a smirk. A masked girl hugs Yi Chen tightly, her voice giddy as she declares she has finally found him. Startled, Yi Chen looks down at her, confusedly asking if they even know each other. This scene pulls back, revealing them on a cliff's edge as cloaked figures approach from behind. A bald man from the Dongfeng clan points aggressively, threatening death if Yi Chen does not release the girl. Yi Chen stands calmly with the masked girl hiding behind him, unfazed by the threats. Peeking out, the masked girl sticks her tongue out playfully at the approaching clan members. This perspective shifts, showing Mu Yan has also appeared on the cliff standing with Yi Chen. Yi Chen smirks at the angry bald man, casually asking if he is being threatened. Mu Yan crosses her arms, teasing Yi Chen about looking so excited by the nostalgic confrontation. 2 clan members argue loudly, furious that these strangers are not showing the Dongfeng clan any respect. From a distance, a clan member shouts, mocking them for not knowing the clan's prestige. A close-up shows another clan member pointing forward, his expression stern and demanding. Yi Chen stands relaxed with his hands in his pockets, the masked girl still clinging to him. One clan member whispers to the bald leader, noting the guy in flip-flops looks strangely familiar. Mu Yan muses about revealing her identity to scare them, while Yi Chen pities their impending fear. A soft PFFT tilde escapes the masked girl, breaking the tense silence between Yi Chen and Mu Yan. She giggles behind her hand, finding their serious demeanor utterly fascinating. Yi Chen scratches his head, asking if she is afraid while being hunted by the Dongfeng clan. This girl cheerfully declares she has them, her confidence unshaken by the threat. He smirks, questioning if she trusts 2 seemingly weak cultivators against such powerful foes. With a playful countdown, she insists their luck will run out in just 10 seconds. Yi Chen and Mu Yan exchange confused glances, caught off guard by her certainty. He protests, saying he has not even planned how to deal with them yet. This masked girl simply finishes her countdown, raising a single finger with a smile. This Dongfeng clan members stand ready on the path, facing the trio at the cliff's edge. A sudden, overwhelming pressure slams into the clan members, freezing them in shock. Yi Chen and Mu Yan turn, their attention now fully on the silent, imposing threat. These three attackers are suddenly submerged up to their necks in the solid ground. Staring down at the trapped men, Yi Chen exclaims someone stole his idea. An elder's voice apologizes, revealing himself as Dongfeng Huaji and acknowledging a venerable presence. Three imposing figures descend from the sky, confronting the group on the cliff. Mu Yan's eyes narrow, recognizing the newcomers as top-ranked cultivators from the leaderboard. Yi Chen smirks, casually addressing the elder Dongfeng for abandoning his duties. This elder explains his daughter ran away, forcing him to drop everything to find her. This masked girl clings to Yi Chen, flatly refusing to return with her father. Yi Chen and Mu Yan turn to the girl, asking if she is the elder's daughter. This masked girl simply nods, confirming her identity to the surprised duo. Yi Chen mocks the elder, joking about his age and perceived friskiness. An angry female voice shouts insolence. As a blurred figure moves to strike, a woman in a black coat points accusingly, defending her father's honor. This scene pulls back, showing the two groups facing off on the grassy cliff. Yi Chen grins, boasting about the high market value of the handsome duo's underwear. This woman in black reacts with a shocked, exasperated expression at his crude remark. Yi Chen's face contorts in a dramatic, tearful scream of comedic despair. Mu Yan grabs him, accusingly asking when his underwear was sold, using telepathy. Yi Chen, sweating and smiling nervously, asks Mu Yan to save face while he finishes acting cool. Mu Yan scoffs, turning away with crossed arms as the masked girl giggles behind her hands. Pointing dramatically at the Dongfeng elder, Yi Chen declares his intent for revenge after leaving seclusion. This black-clad woman from the clan watches with a cold, unimpressed expression, her blue eyes sharp. This elder kneels, presenting a scroll while marveling at his own sudden, humble groveling. Yi Chen smirks, directly asking if the elder is trying to test his limits today. This woman in black clasps her hands, stating she would not dare challenge the Saint Venerable and risk her clan. Yi Chen calls out their scheming, annoyed they want him to attack first to create an excuse. He then playfully chases the masked girl, promising to change her hairstyle as the clan watches. A dark, swirling vortex of energy manifests around Yi Chen's outstretched hand, labeled Supreme Divine Art. This Dongfeng clan members are violently blown backward by a massive, unseen force. This black-clad woman is propelled through the air, her hair flying as she is hit by the shockwave. This bald elder and another member scream as they are flung away at high speed. A close-up shows Yi Chen's determined profile, his hair whipping in the energy storm he created. He seals the technique with a hand sign, stabilizing the chaotic energy into a pillar of golden light. This elder and masked figure hover, their arrival shifting the confrontation's tone. Below, a girl erupts with golden energy, her power shielding those nearby. On a sunlit path, children flee in terror from the unseen threat. Yi Chen smirks, declaring he will add more power to make their defeat fun. His fist glows with divine strength, channeling the remote peach pluck technique. A swirling vortex of dark energy opens, pulling the masked antagonist toward it. Yi Chen's eyes blaze gold, his focus narrowing as he prepares his next move. With a sharp rip, the antagonist's outer garment tears away under the strain. A shocked gasp escapes as the true form beneath the disguise is revealed. A powerful pull yanks the figure backward, their body arching through the air. A hand reaches up from below, poised to intercept the falling character. With a solid catch, Yi Chen secures the now unmasked, white-haired girl. He questions if this was a test, noting the current her could not beat him. This girl smiles, pointing playfully as the immediate danger seems to pass. Yi Chen looks confused, his finger pointing towards something unexpected in the distance. Yi Chen sprints down a grassy path, the white-haired girl close behind him. A tense silence hangs as the dark-haired figure stands motionless. Curiosity overcomes him and he prods her chest, questioning her muscular training. This white-haired girl facepalms in exasperation, muttering a single insult. This dark-haired girl glances down, her expression shifting from confusion to fury. A fiery aura erupts around her as she screams at him to remove his hands. Yi Chen freezes, his eyes wide with sudden, dawning realization. He pokes again, noting the surprising bounce and commenting on her toughness. This white-haired girl intervenes, bluntly revealing the truth about her companion's gender. Stunned, Yi Chen looks up at the now blushing girl, his mind reeling. A close-up reveals her disguise, fake eyebrows peeling away under her tears. Humiliated and enraged, she unleashes a tearful, fiery vow of vengeance. With a burst of energy, Yi Chen shoves her away, sending her flying. Left alone on the path, she watches them depart, her anger simmering into resolve. As they leave, a golden light ignites in Yi Chen's eye, signaling a new power awakening. A blazing, circular formation of divine energy ignites in the sky. This masked girl screams, unleashing her ultimate technique as golden light engulfs her. This heavens darken, filled with swirling red portals that crackle with ominous power. An elder desperately shouts for Yushu to stop, fearing the catastrophic consequences. 3 clan members are buried up to their necks in the earth, weeping in terror. A colossal, molten meteor descends from the vortex, threatening to annihilate everything. Fiery projectiles rain down from the portals, forcing Yi Chen to dodge midair. Yi Chen, Mu Yan, and the masked girl gaze upward, bracing for the incoming assault. With a wild grin, Yi Chen declares he will borrow a bigger sword for this. This masked girl channels a great evolution divine light, summoning a massive void-refining sword. This colossal sword crashes into the cliffside, creating a devastating shockwave. Yi Chen surges upward, meeting the falling meteors head-on with a water-like energy shield. He seizes the hilt of the giant, glowing sword as it materializes before him. A close-up shows his hand gripping the weapon, golden energy pulsing through it. With a fierce smirk, Yi Chen prepares to swing, debris scattering around him. Golden energy engulfs Yi Chen as he grips a blue flame sword atop the smoldering lava rock. A devastating swing sends a golden crescent cleaving through molten stone with explosive force. This impact detonates in a blinding flash, shockwaves rippling outward across the darkened sky. Landing hard on the crumbling rock, his radiant aura pulses with divine intensity. Multiple boulders shatter simultaneously, each explosion painting the heavens with fiery destruction. Above, a cosmic vortex of glowing orange orbs spirals through the swirling clouds. This unmasked girl claps wildly, thrilled by the spectacle, while Mu Yan watches unimpressed. Along the cliff path, Yi Chen chases the girl with his sword as the others trail behind. A blue-eyed woman from the Dongfeng clan freezes, a hovering energy blade inches from her head. Leveling his weapon forward, Yi Chen boasts about enduring everything, claiming he does not mind at all. Fury erupts as she screams, "You!" with the crackling blade positioned above her. Chest puffed out defiantly, he taunts her to flick him back, refusing to be petty. Her anger falters, a blush spreading as she stammers helplessly, unable to respond. Crimson floods her cheeks in an extreme close-up, embarrassment overwhelming her composure. Turning away with a sharp HMPH, she struggles to maintain her dignity after the encounter. This masked girl plummets from the cliff, her white dress billowing against the open sky. Two imposing elders descend from above, their arrival shifting the confrontation's tone. Yi Chen smirks, casually challenging Old Man Dongfeng and the Cyclops to attack together. From behind the elders, he watches them land, his confident taunt hanging in the air. A close-up reveals the elder's sharp, calculating gaze, his expression unreadable. Dongfeng Huaji suddenly clasps his hands, marveling at his own sudden, humble groveling. This elder explains his companion is severely disabled, insisting they would not dare provoke the Saint Venerable. Yi Chen dismissively flicks his hand, ordering them to get lost with a cold smirk. A tight shot captures the elder's stunned silence, his hands still pressed together in supplication. Bowing deeply, Dongfeng Huaji thanks Yi Chen for saving his daughter and prepares to leave. Yi Chen turns to the masked girl, asking if she is an adult capable of choosing. She cheerfully confirms she is, her confidence unshaken by the recent chaos. He then directly asks if she wants to return with them, and she shouts a firm refusal. Addressing the elder, Yi Chen declares children have the right to choose their own lives. A final close-up shows Dongfeng Huaji's face, frustration and anger simmering behind his forced smile. This elder clasps his hands, pleading desperately for the Saint Venerable to reconsider his actions. Yi Chen's face twists into a dark, triumphant smirk, his eyes gleaming with cold amusement. A colossal pillar of blue energy erupts from the ground, splitting the sky with blinding force. His silhouette burns with azure flames as he declares his only rule is doing whatever he wants. These two elders are violently hurled backward by the shockwave, their bodies ragdolling through the air. A close-up captures the Dongfeng elder's face, frozen in sheer terror as the blast engulfs him. In a sleek office, a woman in red pauses, a sudden uneasy feeling prickling at her senses. She shrugs it off, turning back to her computer screen with a focused, professional demeanor. On the cliffside, a massive blue energy pillar separates Yi Chen's group from the fleeing elders. This elder bows deeply, hastily thanking the Saint Venerable and preparing for a swift retreat. He floats upward with his companion, shouting final instructions to his daughter before they vanish. Three bald clan members remain buried up to their necks, weeping uncontrollably in the rain. Yi Chen stands on the cliff's edge, casually waving goodbye as the sun sets over the ocean. These three buried heads erupt in exaggerated, comical laughter, their relief overwhelming their fear. A final explosion rocks the cliffside as a parting shot, the elders' grateful shout echoing away. A colossal vortex of churned earth towers over the trio, a testament to the unleashed power. This white-haired girl turns to Yi Chen, her question sharp about his intentions for their masked companion. Under the sunset sky, Yi Chen and the masked girl share a silent, loaded gaze. Flicking her forehead, he demands answers, his threat hanging in the air if she lies. This masked girl giggles, cheerfully revealing her ability to see and influence the future. Yi Chen and his companions stare, their faces a picture of utter disbelief at her claim. She explains the Great Tribulation, her parents' sacrifice, and being sealed away since childhood. These two listeners are frozen, their shock palpable as they absorb her tragic history. Their simultaneous, horrified shout echoes, reacting to the staggering scale of her revelation. Covering her mouth, the masked girl laughs, clearly amused by their stunned expressions. Yi Chen waves a hand before her face, bluntly asking if she is blind. Pointing to her ornate mask, she confirms she cannot see through the physical obstruction. Tapping her temple, she smiles, stating she perceives far more with her inner sight. This white-haired girl gasps, recognizing the legendary Heavenly Eye, Omniscience ability. Yi Chen's jaw drops, realizing the Dongfeng clan hid a strategic-grade superweapon like her. This masked girl grins mischievously, explaining transepic sight can only perceive the present moment. Glowing sigils materialize around her raised finger as she clarifies the ability cannot decide the future direction. Yi Chen and the white-haired girl stare in stunned disbelief at the revelation of such a power. Impressed by the name's elegance, Yi Chen praises whoever coined it for their excellent classical Chinese. Reaching out to touch her forehead, he questions whether such a divine ability truly exists in this world. Smiling behind her mask, she clarifies she cannot decide the world's direction. Few possess that kind of influence. Ethereal blue butterflies flutter from her palm as she reveals her true method, the butterfly effect on fate choosers. 2 cosmic orbs pulse with opposing energies, each containing a silhouette of someone who shapes the world's destiny. A metaphorical train labeled Fate of the World races toward a switch she casually manipulates with a tug. Realization dawns across Yi Chen's face as understanding begins to crystallize behind his widening eyes. Pointing at herself, the masked girl reveals her current existence stems directly from choices he once made. A sinister figure looms behind her as she recounts his near-fatal poisoning during the Central Plains battle years ago. Yi Chen confirms the incident, crediting divine doctor Ye Liangsheng's timely intervention for saving his life. She confesses she faked her stomachache to lure the traveling doctor, prompting her father to send for treatment. This white-haired girl's jaw drops as the masked girl reveals this scheme connected them with brother Ye Lion. In the Dongfeng clan's grand hall, an elder sits flanked by guards, a kneeling person before him. Bloodied and desperate, Mu Yan begs divine Dr. Yi to save his brother's life. This masked girl reveals they secured the doctor's help to save the injured ally. Dark-haired and white-haired characters gaze upward, heavy tension hanging in the air. This dark-haired character demands the white-haired girl why she kept the truth hidden from him. This white-haired girl smiles softly, dismissing her effort as trivial next to his sacrifice. This white-haired girl's eyes snap wide with shock, exclamation marks punctuating her surprise. This two embrace tightly, pink petals drifting around them in a tender moment. Blushing fiercely, the white-haired girl mutters "bastard" against his broad shoulder. This masked girl giggles as the dark-haired character protests the embrace is embarrassing with Miss Yudong watching. Tears well in the dark-haired character's eyes as blood trickles from his nose. This white-haired girl clings tighter, joking the embrace is her cosmic reward for saving him. This dark-haired character's head snaps back violently, blood splattering from the sudden impact. This white-haired girl punches him flying, screaming he owes her the lost sensation. This masked girl wonders aloud if this is how close brothers bond, expressing envy. This white-haired girl leans forward, warning the masked girl not to be misled by Yi Chen's weirdness. Yi Chen questions his role as the antagonist while the masked girl confirms she writes the script. She reveals an alternate timeline where Mu Yan failed to save him, hinting at her influence. A chaotic vision erupts in red, showing a screaming Yi Chen consumed by madness and power. He stands atop a mountain of corpses, having slaughtered countless people in a fit of rage. This masked girl admits she disliked that united but bloody ending for Shenzhou. Yi Chen leans in, asking the white-haired girl if he is truly that important to her. She scoffs, dismissing the idea and refusing to take his hypothetical scenario seriously. Turning to the masked girl, Yi Chen curiously asks her to predict who he will marry. A close-up captures the white-haired girl's face, a faint blush coloring her cheeks. This masked girl smiles enigmatically behind her mask, considering the question. She raises a finger, beginning to reveal the identity of his future wife. Yi Chen and the white-haired girl stare in stunned, wide-eyed anticipation. This masked girl shakes her head, bluntly stating she has no idea. Yi Chen's face drops into a look of pure, confused shock at her non-answer. This masked girl points to her temple, explaining her mind strains under the weight of countless future possibilities. Overwhelmed by visions, blood trickles from her nose as she warns looking further could shatter her skull. Yi Chen smirks, his calm expression contrasting the terrifying revelation of her power's dangerous limits. He reaches out, touching her forehead as a golden light ignites between his fingertip and her mask. A brilliant, intricate sigil blazes to life, radiating divine energy from her concealed heavenly eye. She reveals she has channeled power through his spiritual communicator, gifting him 10 ultimate moves for protection. With a cheerful wave, the masked girl watches as Yi Chen and the white-haired girl begin to float away. Hand in hand, the pair ascends into the sky, leaving their companion behind on the grassy cliff. Pouting, the masked girl calls out, wanting to join their adventure and play along with them. Yi Chen glances down, dismissing her as he cites urgent national affairs following Shenhao's recent stabilization. She teasingly questions his major national affair, pointing out he is clearly on a blind date. This white-haired girl bursts into laughter at the jab while Yi Chen scowls in obvious annoyance. He retorts angrily, complaining about the monstrous and demonic blind dates he is being forced to endure. A vision shows the chaotic demons he battles, illustrating how his dates prevent them from wrecking the world. Grinning mischievously, the masked girl starts a countdown, certain he will take her along in seconds. This masked girl playfully sticks her tongue out, rejecting Yi Chen's earlier claim with childish defiance. She then grabs his hand, pulling him and the white-haired girl upward into the sky. A brilliant pillar of light erupts from the ground, signaling their departure from the battlefield. Standing by the sea at sunset, she begins a countdown, her mood suddenly serene. As she reaches one, the legs of her two companions dangle into frame from above. They float down to the shore and she greets them cheerfully as if meeting an old friend. Yi Chen stares in silent disbelief, a bead of sweat on his temple at the sudden shift. He pokes her forehead, demanding to know how she manipulated Xia Yan into forcing this reunion. Smiling, she explains she simply chose the future where he would take her along. Yi Chen facepalms in frustration, lamenting his manipulation by a girl with such a terrifying power. Resigned, he sighs and gestures for them to leave, accepting his new traveling companion. This masked girl then asks if she can ride on his back for the journey. Yi Chen reacts with exaggerated outrage, shouting for respect as the invincible male lid. Despite his protests, he is soon carrying her through the sky, his expression one of comedic shock. With the white-haired girl flying alongside, the trio soars through the clouds toward their next destination. Yi Chen soars through the clouds with Yudong riding his back, her excitement pushing him to fly faster. Grinning behind her mask, the girl declares simply that she likes them. Confused, Yi Chen questions their closeness and what exactly she sees in them. This next beat of the story lands. A flashback shows the trio playfully brawling, shoving each other in good fun. Now standing back to back, they face a horde of shadowy enemies on the battlefield. Another memory reveals them trashing the house while gaming, Yudong watching as a ghostly observer. Bloodied and exhausted, they share barbecue over flames amid the ruins of war. From her white cell, Yudong watches through a portal and cheers them onward. Back in the sky, Yi Chen expresses surprise that her explanation ends so soon. This white-haired girl asks if Yudong felt lonely while locked away all this time. Smiling brightly, Yudong reveals she watched them the whole time and felt very happy. She urges Yi Chen to fly even faster, but he warns her not to blame him if she falls. Golden light blazes from Yi Chen's determined eyes as he accelerates through the sky. This trio bursts through a prismatic vortex as Yudong adds dazzling special effects with her art. Yudong grins, adding dazzling special effects as the trio bursts through the prismatic vortex. They rocket through the swirling, rainbow-colored tunnel, leaving a sparkling trail in their wake. This white-haired girl smirks, telling Yi Chen he is as stubborn as ever. This scene shifts abruptly to a modern office where Yi Chen sits across from a woman in red. He points at a stack of documents, demanding to know why he was made to bring her back. Another woman in a white dress enters, smiling as she joins the tense conversation. This woman in red slowly removes her glasses, a knowing look on her face. She reveals she just received a marriage proposal from the Dongfeng clan for him. Yi Chen's face drops in pure confused shock at the sudden announcement. He nervously unfolds the document, sweat beading on his temple as he reads. A close-up shows the official paper, stamped with the glowing, authentic seals of the Dongfeng clan. He turns, holding up two proposals, and angrily asks the masked girl if this is her doing. Yudong, now unmasked, cheerfully explains her heavenly eye lets her see everyone's future actions. A corrupt official sits amidst a mountain of stolen treasure, clutching his face in despair. He boasts about knowing all the embezzlement schemes, his greed and corruption laid bare. A flashback shows a young man holding a tie, recalling how he blackmailed his sister's peeping toms. This older man reads the note left behind, his expression one of shock at the bold instructions. Back in the present, the unmasked girl questions the Dongfeng family for hiding such a powerful strategic weapon. In an office, she points accusingly at a seated Yi Chen, demanding to know why she chose a slacker. Yi Chen's head droops as the word slacker repeats endlessly around him, a visual of his frustration. He slams his hands on the desk, angrily listing his past battlefield heroics to defend his reputation. A flashback shows him carrying an injured girl through a war zone, proving his earlier claims of sacrifice. Another memory reveals him urgently sucking venom from a snakebite on her chest to save her life. This girl in red blushes deeply, a bead of sweat on her face as the embarrassing memory resurfaces. She slams her forehead against his, shouting at him to shut up and stop bringing up the past. This masked girl watches their heated argument, cheerfully noting how well the two of them get along. Both immediately turn to point at each other, vehemently denying they get along and listing their grievances. This masked girl smiles brightly, suggesting with a playful sparkle that the two of them should just get married. Yi Chen and the girl in red freeze, their faces turning toward each other in stunned, wide-eyed shock. They stare at one another in silence, the romantic suggestion hanging heavily in the suddenly quiet air. In the office, the guardian in red stands rigidly, confronting Yi Chen about something serious. Her eyes blaze with fierce determination as she declares her sacred promise to his parents. Yi Chen retorts sharply, questioning why anyone would marry a constant nagging presence. This blindfolded girl giggles mischievously, preferring the thrill of uncertainty over omniscient knowledge. Suddenly appearing between them, she announces urgently that she has something critical to reveal. Both Yi Chen and his guardian freeze, their expressions shifting to stunned alarm. With eerie calm, the girl drops a catastrophic bombshell about Earth's future destruction. Their synchronized shock echoes through the room at her apocalyptic revelation. She explains her limitation. About a year ago, her foresight hit an impenetrable wall. But one vision broke through, showing Yi Chen unleashing a terrifyingly powerful ultimate technique. This blindfolded girl's voice trembles as she describes witnessing Earth's annihilation. A cosmic horror unfolds, a monstrous fist descending, shattering the planet into blazing fragments. Yi Chen scratches his chin nervously, surrounded by swirling question marks at the accusation. She admits uncertainty about when it happens, could be tomorrow or 1,000 years away. This guardian demands answers while Yi Chen protests, insisting he'd never commit such destruction. Yudong confesses she glimpsed the future, her family's deaths and the world's destruction, so she fled to find them. Her trembling hands press against her chest as she desperately asks if they will find a solution. Yi Chen gently rests his palm atop her masked head in a comforting gesture. He promises this good girl that since futures can change, he will never let those horrors unfold. Xia Yan watches silently, her finger pressed to her lips in deep contemplation. Yi Chen proposes they help Yudong recover her divine sight first, then tackle the root cause together. This masked girl brightens instantly, agreeing to stay and asking if Xia Yan will join them too. Xia Yan refuses, citing mountains of work and unresolved intelligence requiring her attention. Yi Chen grins warmly, arguing the future can wait. What is barbecue and beer without their whole team? She protests she wants to join, but endless deadlines leave her perpetually swamped. Cracking his knuckles with a mischievous smirk, Yi Chen offers to handle all her paperwork. He dismisses her duties as petty nonsense compared to their reunion dinner, volunteering to take care of everything. Xia Yan's eyes widen in shock, demanding to know what he is planning. Golden energy blazes from Yi Chen's hands as he lunges toward her with supernatural speed. She raises her palm defensively, but his glowing strike connects with her forehead in a flash of light. Golden energy floods Xia Yan's mind, forcing her to experience his chaotic schedule firsthand. Her eyes blaze with supernatural light as the overwhelming data crashes into her consciousness. Yudong watches with a cheerful, knowing smile, her hands clasped in delight at the unfolding scene. This office environment freezes around them, a silent testament to the psychic intrusion. Xia Yan's expression shifts from shock to a dawning, weary understanding of his point. A bead of sweat traces down her temple as she processes the sheer volume of his petty nonsense. Yi Chen stands firm, his gaze intense, waiting for her to fully grasp the absurdity of her workload. She finally exhales, a long sigh of resignation escaping her lips. With a sharp, decisive tone, she declares she will join them for the reunion dinner. Yudong claps her hands excitedly, her masked face beaming at the successful persuasion. A faint, almost imperceptible smile touches Yi Chen's lips, his plan having worked perfectly. This frozen office scene resumes its normal flow, the tension now replaced with anticipation. Xia Yan smooths her red blouse, composing herself with practiced efficiency. She turns to leave, stating she needs to prepare before meeting them at the designated spot. This trio watches her go, the promise of barbecue and beer finally within their grasp. A confused Xia Yan utters a single, questioning sound at the sudden change of plans. On a sunset beach, she asks Yi Chen if he was supposed to get something. This guardian in red complains loudly, demanding to know what they will eat after being dragged here. Yi Chen smirks confidently, boasting about his divine arts now that the world is at peace. He stands before the ocean, hands clasped in a prayer-like gesture against the glowing sky. Chanting dramatically, he calls upon the seas to bring forth a feast of seafood. His palms glow with golden energy as he unleashes a powerful technique named Void. This ocean's surface ripples with concentric circles of power echoing his command. With a mighty surge, the sea parts dramatically, creating a towering path of water. A massive vortex erupts, launching a spectacular bounty of crabs, fish, and shrimp skyward. This young girl in white stares in pure, wide-eyed amazement at the magical display. Xia Yan and the Guardian watch the raining seafood, one smiling while the other remains unimpressed. Focusing her power, Xia Yan channels energy through her fingertip, naming her immortal sword art. She thrusts her finger forward, declaring her technique as void-refined skewers. This summoned seafood transforms midair, turning into a shower of useless, inedible stones. A beam of light strikes the house, summoning a feast of seafood from the water below. She gestures with a blade, gathering the summoned ingredients with a focused expression. Skewers of squid, shrimp, and crab fly through the air, ready for cooking. This trio stands beneath a swirling vortex of seafood, marveling at the magical bounty. Yi Chen smirks, telling the woman in red it is her turn to conjure vegetables and beer. She laughs, chiding them for acting like kids and dragging her into their nonsense. With a determined look, she activates her myriad manifestations' divine art, scattering beans to summon a forest. Vegetables and potatoes rain down into the kitchen sink from the magical summoning. This beans sprout instantly outside the house, growing into a lush field under the sunset. Close-ups show potatoes sprouting and rice stalks growing rapidly in the accelerated time. This field transforms into a sparkling, abundant harvest of cabbages, potatoes, and golden wheat. She places her hand on a tree stump, channeling green energy to manipulate the wood. Mushrooms sprout rapidly from the log, adding to the summoned ingredients. This stump is hollowed out, transformed into a large wooden vessel for brewing. Grains and water pour into the vessel over a fire, creating instant wine through accelerated fermentation. Yi Chen and the girl sample the strange tree sap, questioning its odd smell and origin. A spark ignites above his finger as Yi Chen's expression sharpens with sudden intent. Outside, chairs fly wildly as the group erupts into celebration, declaring it time to feast. This seaside villa glows under the moon, where the four gather around a barbecue feast. Raising his mug high, Yi Chen leads the toast, his voice booming with relieved excitement.